everybody, I'm here today to tell you about a reason to fail the driving test, and that reason is incorrect lane positioning. If you put yourself in an incorrect lane position, that can be a huge reason that contributes to you failing the driving test. You might lose points on your test, and if you do it often enough, when you lose enough points, you'll fail the test. So it is a reason to fail the driving test. Now let me tell you what, in my opinion, incorrect lane positioning is, and then I'll tell you what you can do to practice before your driving test to make sure that you don't lose any points for incorrect lane positioning, and you definitely don't fail. Like, hopefully you don't fail because of it. All right, because losing points can happen and you can still pass, but you don't want to lose a lot of points because that might cause you to fail. All right, let's get right into the video. Incorrect lane positioning can be one of two things, in my opinion. Like I said, this probably isn't an official definition, but this is what I would define incorrect lane positioning as. Incorrect lane positioning. All right, so it is when you are in the wrong position within a lane, or when you are driving in the wrong lane. That's, in my opinion, because it's incorrect lane positioning. That's what I would define it as. So let's say you're driving in a lane, and when you're driving in a lane, your car should be roughly in the center of the lane. If you are driving very close to the right or very close to the left, you're going to be at risk of hitting other cars, scraping other cars, hitting a curb, hitting a light post, scraping things, putting pedestrians at risk. The list goes on and on and on. So you have to think about it this way. This car that I'm in right now, which is a Honda CR-V, I am positioned on the left side of this car. So if I place my body in the center of the lane, my car will be to the right position of the lane. It's going to be too far to the right because I'm on the left of the car. If my body is in the center of the lane, that means the left side of the car is actually in the center of the lane, which means the entire car is too far to the right. Whichever side of the car you're on, you have to take that into account and make sure that you realize that the center of your car should be in the center of the lane. So because I'm driving on the left side of the car, when I look straight ahead directly in front of me, I know that I should be looking a little bit to the left part of the lane, slightly to the left portion of the lane. Now, as you become experienced as a driver, this becomes more natural to you, and it just happens. You don't really have to think about it. You can just center your car. You just drive centered. It's just what happens. But as a beginner driver, before you take your test, you're going to have to make this a mental focus and make a very specific, concentrated effort to keep your car centered in the lane. That will keep you in a correct lane position, okay? Now, the second version of incorrect lane positioning, in my opinion, is when you are driving in the completely wrong lane. For instance, here in Toronto, when you make a left and you're taking your driving test, like when you're learning to drive, when you make a left onto a road that has two lanes or more than two lanes, let's say more than one lane, you should be turning into the leftmost lane. So if I'm turning left onto a two-laned road, I would turn into the leftmost lane. Then I can switch lanes to the right eventually, but I would turn into that left lane. If I decided to turn into the right lane when I made a left turn, then that would put me in an incorrect lane position because I would have turned into the wrong lane. Now, I'm not telling you what the rules are for where you live. I'm not telling you which lane to turn into. I am telling you, however, to figure it out and turn into the correct lane and drive in the correct lane, because everywhere that you drive is going to be different. You might be watching this in a completely different country, different territory, different province, whatever the case is. You might have different rules than I have here when I took my driving test and when I show people how to drive, when I give driving tips and pieces of driving advice. So with that being said, I can't tell you in specifics where you should be turning, but I will tell you to figure it out and turn into the correct lane. By turning into the correct lane, you're going to be putting yourself in the proper lane positioning for the driving test. So what you have to do are two things. You have to do two things. Make sure that you're driving in the center of the lane. Your car is in the center of the lane as you're driving. Roughly the center. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not taking a measuring tape here. Roughly the center of the lane. And the second thing that you have to do is make sure that you're turning into the correct lanes, turning from the correct lane. So using the correct turning lane, turning into the correct lane, and also driving in the proper lane that you're supposed to be driving in. Remember those things, and you should be good to go with regards to lane positioning and correct lane positioning. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.